Let me talk to y'all for a minute, man. I turned this podcast rap show to a business. Refugee been hustling for years since I got admitted. Man, I got admitted, I was broke, then I fucking did it. In the streets fitted, man, no kidding. Catch me with a sweatsuit, man, cold chilling. In the city with it feeling, yes.
What is good, people? Esther Don here with the Hustle Holdings podcast. The mission of the company of Hustle Holdings is to improve the life for ourselves and the people around us by sharing investment information online and in person, bringing returns to investors, and giving. And the idea, this isn't personalized financial advice. This is just, if you can use some of the information that I'm talking about on here to make better decisions in your investment portfolio, then that'd be great. You know what I mean? I've helped my ex with his portfolio. Most of his portfolio is doing pretty good. I've started a paper trading portfolio, which you can track on the Instagram. Follow the Hustle Holdings Instagram to see the paper trading portfolio that I put together, and you can see the progress over time and how it's doing. So far, within 3 to 4 weeks, we're up about 7 to 8% to date. We were up about 10% in 3 to 4 weeks, but obviously this week there was a bit of a pullback in crypto, so that was not good for the portfolio because a lot of the portfolio is concentrated in hard money and crypto assets. But as far as Mumu told me, I beat the market last week, which was great. So with that being said, I want to talk about some of the news that happened this week that was of interest to me and related to the portfolio that I'm trying to put together. So for this week, and this thanks to the help of Gemini, I want to talk about the crypto legislation that passed this week. The Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and the Anti-CBDC Act. So let's go ahead and talk about this stuff. So this week has been a significant week for crypto regulation in the U.S., with President Donald Trump signing a landmark bill into law and the House of Representatives passing 2 other crypto-related bills. Here's a breakdown. The Genius Act, guiding and establishing national innovation for U.S. stablecoins, signed into law. This is the most significant development. The Genius Act was signed into the law by President Trump on Friday, July 18, 2025. We're recording this on July 19, 2025, after passing both the House and Senate with strong bipartisan support. This law primarily focuses on regulating stablecoins, which are cryptocurrencies designed to maintain a stable value, typically by being pegged to a traditional asset like the US dollar. So the idea behind these is going to create demand for US treasuries, assets like treasuries, and the dollar. And it talks about some of the stuff that went into it, yada, 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 yada. Other bills that passed by the House, awaiting Senate consideration. In addition to the Genius Act, the House also advanced 2 other crypto-related bills on Thursday, July 17, 2025. The Clarity Act, Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. This bill aims to create a new market structure for the broader cryptocurrency space beyond just stablecoins. The goal is it seeks to define clear lines of jurisdiction between the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission regarding digital assets, clarifying whether a cryptocurrency is a security or a commodity. Now, I've heard Michael Saylor speak about the key difference between Bitcoin being a commodity, a property, real property, versus a security. Whereas a lot of these other cryptocurrencies would be securities by definition. If you haven't heard Michael Saylor talk about this, he talked about it on the PBD podcast. Shout out to PBD. It was very informative. Michael Saylor, check him out. Strategy and some other securities are in the portfolio. And then the Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act. This bill seeks to prohibit the Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency directly to Americans. And the idea behind this was the proponents argue it would bar the Federal Reserve from surveilling and restricting Americans' purchasing habits. So I've heard Robert talk about this, Robert Kiyosaki. Shout out to Robert Kiyosaki, Rick's Radio. You can listen to that. radio, that's podcast on Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. He also has a great YouTube channel. He's been talking about CBDCs for a long time now. So we don't want CBDCs. We don't want to be surveilled. We don't want every single one of our purchasing decisions to be surveilled. Look at what happened in Canada during the protest by the truckers. They had their assets seized. We don't want that. So in terms of like, we don't want our assets being seized and watched and people telling us what to buy, what not to buy. More freedom. So all of these bills, I think, are going to be great for crypto. They did not pass the Bitcoin Act, which was a little disappointing. We'll see if it passes. We have 3 years to pass this thing, so we'll see if it passes. As far as I'm aware, Donald Trump's net worth is highly tied into crypto-related assets. And so I think it's going to be in the best interest of him and the people around him to make this pass. But even if it doesn't pass, the reason why I got into Bitcoin in the first place is because it is hard money. Real scarcity, real money versus this fake money that they keep printing. And we've seen the inflation and the impacts of inflation over the past 5 years. And even beyond that, if you're older, you lived through 2008, 2000, and 1980s. So anyway, that's just kind of where we are. Those are the things that were of interest to me. And again, I keep saying this, but I want to say this again. Bitcoin, I'm bullish on Bitcoin in the long term. I think that's where things are moving. And I think, like I said in the book, in the last podcast about the book, The How the Country's Go Broke, I've been talking about this for a while now. There is a revert back to hard money at some point. And I think that because of this federal deficit increasing in Canada and the the US is leading the charge. You could see countries reverting back to hard money. El Salvador has done it. We see China back wanting, we talked about BRICS. We didn't talk about BRICS, but people have talked about BRICS creating some sort of currency that's backed by gold or physical assets, partially backed, something like that. So I think that's where things are moving and the cycle continues. So, and I could be wrong, but that's my bet. And if not, even if they don't move back to that, these assets are going to continue to increase in value because of the inflation and the scarcity of these assets and its value. Its value proposition is technology. Bitcoin, gold, silver, hard money. So that's where I'm at. And yeah, that's pretty much the news that I wanted to talk about this week. Updates on the company. I am so close to finishing my CSC Volume 1. I am on the derivatives forwards and futures part of the exam or the course. I finished listening to it full through. I need to take notes, or I want to take notes on the corporation section and then the section after that. Once those notes are taken, I want to be able to take my test. The idea is hopefully by Monday, if not by Monday, sometime next week, get it done. And then I can move on to Volume 2. We haven't invested anything in the personal portfolio of the corporation yet, but I think starting this week, I will be investing in assets using the portfolio. So I may give an update at some point on the real portfolio, but as of now, I want you to track the paper trading portfolio. And the idea is that these two will match over time. So that's the idea. And if not in size, then at least in positioning or in the assets that we hold. Because I want to walk the walk and talk the talk kind of thing. You know what I mean? Talk the talk, walk the walk. So that's kind of the update. Continue to put out the podcast. Thank you guys for following the Instagram, following the YouTube. I appreciate the subs, the like, the comments. And we'll see. Somebody commented on the last video, said the crypto is no longer decentralized. I'm not sure what they mean, but I sort of understand what they mean. I mean, a lot of companies are starting to hodl crypto. The US is getting behind crypto. It's started becoming this partisan thing, and it's just like, it really shouldn't. And it was, for a long time, both sides didn't like it, So anyway, I mean, I'm relatively new to this space, but yeah. And I wouldn't even consider myself a crypto guy. I'm just more of a hard money guy, some sort of fiscal responsibility kind of guy. Because I'm telling you, working skip the dishes because that's what I do on a daily basis to pay my bills. I saw the impacts of inflation firsthand. Gas went up, insurance went up, food went up, rent went up, and I was like, what the fuck is all of this? And that's what even inspired me to get into this in the first place. Because I had a desire to want to know what was going on and why. And I was like, oh, that's why this is going on, and that's why this is going on. And my desire to want to learn, I was having a positive feedback loop. I was gaining net worth, I was gaining assets, I was getting better in my balance sheet, my income statement. And the idea is to continue to pound that horse, because I'm still interested in it, And so now I'm just trying to work smarter, not harder, even though that's part of the game. And that's where we're at. And the lesson of the week that I want to tell y'all is, man, life is not so much about making a bunch of great decisions as it is not about making a bunch of stupid decisions. I heard this from Warren Buffett, the one and only. And I think it's so true. Life is not so much about making a bunch of great decisions as it's not making a bunch of stupid decisions. I heard Howard Marks talk about this in a podcast. He positions his portfolio not so much to gain, but not to lose. And a lot of the great investors are so focused on risk management, the downside of things, not just the upside. Rookies are focused on the upside. The best are focused on the downside. So that's something I should implement more, but it's something that I think as I put this portfolio together, it should be pretty evident how I'm going to be putting it together. So that's the update. I appreciate y'all. I want to make this quick. Thank you guys. Peace.